Have you ever trusted someone so deeply, only to find out they were the very reason behind your pain? That was me. Living under a roof with people I thought I knew, people I called family. And then one day, my daughter came running to me, her cheeks streaked with tears, her voice trembling as she cried. They locked me in the garage, and when I turned to my own parents, my mother and father, the ones who had raised me, they just shrugged like it meant nothing. That was the moment I realized something was deeply wrong in our home. Before I begin, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far this story reaches and who else out there has experienced betrayal behind closed doors. It started on a chilly Thursday afternoon in late October, the kind of day where the wind cuts through your coat and makes the trees look like they're whispering secrets to each other. I had just gotten back from work, exhausted and ready to rest. My job as a nurse didn't leave much energy at the end of the day, but I always made time for my daughter Emily. She was 7, bright, creative, always drawing something in her little notebook or asking me questions about the stars. She was my world. We had been staying with my parents for almost 6 months. After my divorce, things had unraveled quickly: financial stress, legal bills, and then losing our apartment. My parents had offered their home as a temporary solution. I thought it was a blessing. I thought they were helping us. But slowly, almost too quietly to notice, things began to shift. It started with the small comments. "Emily's a little dramatic, don't you think?" My mom would say, laughing over coffee. "She needs more discipline," my dad would mutter when she got excited and ran through the house with her crayons. I brushed it off. They were old-fashioned, I told myself. They just didn't understand modern parenting, but it didn't stop there. I started noticing Emily becoming more withdrawn. She'd stop mid-sentence sometimes, like she was afraid to say something wrong. She'd flinch if my father raised his voice, even if it wasn't at her. One evening, she asked me quietly if we could lock the door to our guest room at night. When I asked why, she just looked down and said, "Because Grandpa walks around." I felt a chill run through me. But again, I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Maybe he was just getting up for the bathroom. Maybe she was just anxious with all the change. Then came the day that broke the illusion. I came home early from work, an unexpected shift cancellation. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed Emily wasn't in the living room, where she usually watched her cartoons after school. My mom was folding laundry on the couch like everything was fine. My dad was outside, hammering away at some broken part of the fence. Just a normal day. "Where's Emily?" I asked, setting down my bag. My mom didn't even look up. "Probably playing." "Playing where?" She shrugged. "I don't know, somewhere." I walked through the house, calling her name. No answer. I checked the backyard. Nothing. Panic began to rise in my throat. My heart raced as I opened doors, closets, bathrooms, our shared bedroom, until I reached the garage. It was locked from the outside. That didn't make sense. We never locked the garage door. And Emily never went in there. It was dusty, cluttered, filled with my dad's old tools and lawn equipment. I turned the lock and opened the door. There she was. Sitting on the concrete floor, her knees pulled up to her chest, tears streaking her cheeks. Her hair was messy, her hands red from the cold. "Mom," she cried, rushing into my arms, her body trembling. "Emily, what happened?" "They locked me in here," she sobbed. "Grandma said I was being too loud, and Grandpa said I needed to learn respect. They put me in here and closed the door." I was so scared. I held her tight, my whole body shaking. I didn't understand. My parents, the ones who had always seemed so gentle, so collected, had done this to her asterisk. I carried her inside, wrapped her in a blanket, gave her warm milk with honey. Then I turned to my mother, still on the couch, calmly folding towels. "Did you lock Emily in the garage?" My voice was quiet, controlled. She looked up, unbothered. She was misbehaving. She needed a timeout. "In the garage asterisk? It's freezing out there. She needs to learn boundaries. You let her run wild." I turned to my father, who had just come inside and was taking off his boots. "You agreed to this?" He just shrugged. Kids these days, soft. That's the problem. That was the moment something inside me broke, not with rage but with a hollow, cold realization. These people who were supposed to help us heal were slowly crushing my daughter's spirit and expecting me to stand by and let them. But I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just walked away. I sat with Emily that night while she fell asleep, her fingers gripping mine tightly like I might disappear in the dark. And as I lay there staring at the ceiling, I began thinking about all the little things, the missing $200 from my purse a few weeks ago, that my dad had said I must have miscounted, the strange way my mom insisted I didn't need to apply for that job out of town because it wasn't stable, the fact that they never wanted us to leave. It wasn't just about control. There was something more. And I was going to find out exactly what. The next morning, everything felt brittle. The sun poured through the windows like nothing had happened, like the world hadn't cracked a little just the night before. Emily sat across from me at the kitchen table, still in her pajamas, quietly eating the toast I made her. She didn't speak unless I asked her a direct question. She didn't even hum to herself like she used to when she was happy. The light behind her eyes wasn't gone, but it was dimmer. I saw it. My parents were acting as if nothing was unusual. My mother went about her routine, clicking her heels on the tile floor as she tidied up, humming along to the radio. My father scrolled through his phone, reading the news out loud, like always. Every now and then, they'd glance at me, but not with remorse. With annoyance, as if I was the one making things difficult. I knew then we couldn't stay, but it wasn't as simple as packing our bags and walking out the door. I had nowhere to go. My last paycheck was eaten up by legal bills from the custody battle with my ex. I had a few $100s in the bank, no savings, and no nearby friends I could ask for help. They'd all scattered after the divorce, some uncomfortable, some just uninterested in being caught in the middle. But I wasn't going to let Emily live another day in fear. So I began planning in silence. That night, after Emily had fallen asleep, I called my old coworker Denise from the hospital. We hadn't spoken in months, but she had always been kind to me. "Hey," I whispered, curled in the corner of the laundry room, door closed. "Julie?" Her voice was startled. "Oh my God, it's so good to hear from you. Are you okay?" I hesitated, my voice catching. I'm not sure. I need help. Not money, just information." Within 10 minutes, Denise had sent me 3 job listings in nearby towns. One of them was for a small family-run clinic about 40 minutes away. They were urgently looking for a nurse for part-time work with flexible hours. It wasn't ideal, but it was a start. I thanked her quietly, promised to call back soon, and ended the call before anyone noticed. But that night, something strange happened. I went back to the kitchen for water and found my mother standing at the counter, holding my wallet. She froze when she saw me. "Why are you going through my things?" I asked. My voice was firm, not raised, but inside I was shaking. She slowly put the wallet down. "Just checking something." "You were checking my wallet?" She didn't answer. She just walked past me, brushing my shoulder like I was in her way. I opened my wallet and checked the cash. $60 was missing. And suddenly, so many things made sense. The missing money. The passive-aggressive comments. The guilt trips whenever I mentioned leaving. They didn't want us here out of kindness. They wanted us here because it made them feel in control. They'd had power over us, over me, and they liked it that way. They liked me broken, dependent. That night, I barely slept. The next day, I called the clinic and scheduled an interview for the following Monday. The receptionist was kind. Her voice gave me a sliver of hope I hadn't felt in a long time. But my parents were watching me now, closer than before. Maybe it was my quiet defiance. Maybe they sensed I was slipping through their fingers. That evening, my father cornered me in the hallway as I came out of the bathroom. "You've been making calls," he said flatly. "I have. You planning something?" I met his eyes. "Why do you care?" He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You think the world out there owes you something, Julie. You've always had this attitude, like you were better than us. You're not." My throat tightened, but I didn't respond. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction. "You need us. You'll figure that out soon enough." And then he walked away like he delivered some fatherly wisdom instead of a warning. Later that night, while Emily was coloring beside me, she suddenly whispered, "Grandma said if I tell you things again, I'll get locked outside." My chest burned. "What else did she say?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She said you're too busy feeling sorry for yourself to take care of me. My hands clenched the edge of the sofa. That was it. I wasn't just dealing with control anymore. I was dealing with poison, words and actions that could warp a little girl's heart and make her believe her mother was weak, distracted, unfit. But I wasn't any of those things. I was scared, yes, but I was also finally awake. And I had a plan. That weekend I pretended everything was normal. I smiled. I thanked them for dinner. I let my father drone on about the state of the world, but I was packing things slowly, tucking Emily's drawings and our clothes into boxes and bags when they weren't looking. I hid them in the trunk of my car beneath old blankets. Monday came. I dropped Emily off at school early and drove to the clinic. The moment I walked in, I felt like I could breathe. The building smelled of antiseptic and brewed coffee. The waiting room was quiet. A middle-aged woman at the desk smiled and waved me back. The interview was warm, informal. The owner, a kind man named Dr. Weston, listened as I explained my situation, minus the worst parts. "You'd be a great fit here," he said. "When can you start?" I blinked, surprised. "Tomorrow?" He smiled. "Tomorrow it is." I walked out with a job, and something even more precious. A reason to believe that maybe, just maybe, we could get out of this. But as I pulled into my parents' driveway, I saw something that made my stomach sink. My father was standing in the open garage, holding one of the bags I had hidden. He had found it. And he was waiting for me. He didn't say a word as I stepped out of the car. He just stood there, one hand gripping the strap of the bag he pulled from the trunk, the other resting on the workbench like he might crush something with it if I moved too quickly. My heart pounded in my chest, but I forced myself to breathe normally. I walked up to him calmly, like we were two people having a normal conversation in a garage on a Monday afternoon. "You going somewhere?" he asked, voice low and flat. I looked him in the eye. Eventually. He scoffed. "Thought so." There was a pause, too quiet. Even the breeze outside seemed to hold its breath. "You think you can sneak around under my roof?" he asked. "Make plans behind our backs, like we're the enemy." "You are the enemy, Dad," I said quietly but firmly. "You locked my daughter in here, in this garage, like she was a stray dog." His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. "You steal from me," I continued. "You gaslight me. You tell my child lies about me. What am I supposed to call that?" His eyes narrowed. "You're ungrateful. And you're abusive." The words felt foreign coming out of my mouth, like someone else had spoken them. But they were true. And saying them made something shift inside me. Like the floor had tilted slightly, just enough to send me tumbling toward a new version of myself. One who didn't beg for approval or doubt her instincts. He set the bag down slowly, eyes hard. "You'll be back. Don't think you're so special." I didn't respond. I just picked up the bag, walked past him, and went inside. That night I told Emily to pack the rest of her favorite things into a backpack. "Just the important stuff," I said. "The things you'd want with you if we were going on a trip." She nodded, eyes wide, but didn't ask questions. By midnight, everything was packed. I had my documents, my nursing license, Emily's school records, her little stuffed rabbit, a few changes of clothes, and enough gas in the car to get us at least 50 miles away. I waited until the house was silent, until I heard my parents' bedroom door shut and the floor creak as my father moved to the far end of the hallway. Then, I slipped out the front door with Emily's hand in mine and never looked back. We stayed in a motel that night, cheap, a little dusty, but clean enough. Emily thought it was an adventure, like we were on vacation. She jumped on the bed and asked if she could watch cartoons. "Just for tonight," I told her, smiling as I watched her reclaim a little joy. The next morning, I dropped her off at her new school. It was smaller, quieter, and the principal greeted us personally, shaking my hand like he was genuinely happy we were there. Then I drove to the clinic and started work. It wasn't glamorous. The pay was modest and the hours long, but the staff was kind and the patients were grateful. I hadn't realized how much I missed being around people who treated me with basic decency. Denise checked in on me that evening. She'd heard through the grapevine that I'd taken the job. "Need anything?" she asked. I hesitated, then said, "A place to rent. Something small. Safe. I'll ask around." By the end of the week, I had a lead. A tiny apartment above a hardware store, run by a retired couple who didn't mind renting to a single mom with a shaky credit score. The rent was low, and the landlord even helped carry our bags up the stairs when we moved in. Emily picked the bedroom with the little skylight. "It feels like the moon can see me when I sleep," she whispered. We settled in quickly. The peace was strange at first. There were no sharp words, no condescending remarks, no icy stares across the dinner table, just the sound of Emily humming again while she brushed her teeth, just me, sitting on the balcony with tea, hearing my own thoughts without someone shouting over them. But peace doesn't mean closure, because 2 weeks later I got a letter in the mail from a lawyer. My parents were threatening legal action, custody concerns. The letter read, "Mental instability, financial neglect, emotional distress caused to the child." I sat on the floor and read it twice, my hands shaking. They were trying to take Emily from me, after everything. I called the number listed on the bottom of the letter, not to argue, just to understand. The voice on the other end was cold. "Your parents are concerned for their granddaughter's safety. They claim you left in the middle of the night without a plan or explanation." "They locked her in a garage," I said. There was silence on the line. "I have photos," I added, "and I have people who can testify about what happened." The lawyer cleared his throat. "Then I suggest you prepare a statement. They're serious." So I did. I gathered everything: text messages, photos of the locked garage door, statements from Emily's teachers about her change in behavior, my bank records showing the missing funds, and even a signed letter from Dr. Weston confirming I was employed and stable. But the most powerful evidence came from Emily. She asked if she could draw something to help. She handed me a crayon picture of a little girl sitting on a cold floor behind a locked door, tears falling down her face. Above it, in big block letters, she wrote, "Mommy saved me." I submitted it all to my lawyer, and I waited. I didn't know what they would do next. I didn't know how far they would go, but I knew this. I wasn't the same woman they tried to break, and they weren't going to win. The weeks that followed were some of the longest of my life. Every time the phone rang, I braced myself. Every time the mail arrived, my stomach twisted, afraid I'd find another letter designed to knock the breath out of me. But through it all, I kept showing up, for Emily, for my job, for myself. The clinic became a kind of sanctuary. Dr. Weston offered me full-time hours when another nurse went on maternity leave. Denise brought us second-hand furniture for the apartment and a little rug for Emily's room shaped like a sunflower. Emily started smiling more, laughing again. Her eyes lit up when she got off the school bus, waving her crayon-covered hands in the air, eager to show me her drawings. We were healing slowly. And then the court date came. It wasn't a full custody hearing, just a review to assess the claims made in the letter, but the stakes felt enormous. The idea that my parents, were fighting to take away the one person I loved more than anything, it made my blood go cold. I sat across from them in that sterile courtroom, the fluorescent lights too bright, the air too dry. My father wore his usual blazer, the same one he wore to every family funeral. My mother was dressed in soft gray, her face pinched like she was the one who had been wronged. They didn't look at me. Not once. Their lawyer spoke first, using phrases like concern for the child's welfare and emotional instability in reference to me. My parents nodded along, like they believed every word. Then it was my turn. I stood up, hands trembling slightly, and read the letter I'd written. "I left because I had to protect my daughter," I began, my voice clear despite the ache in my throat. Not just from cold nights locked in garages, but from the slow, daily erosion of her spirit. From the lies, the manipulation, from being told that her fear didn't matter. I handed over Emily's drawing. The judge looked at it for a long time. Longer than I expected. Dr. Weston had submitted a statement, so had the principal at Emily's new school. Even Denise had written a letter. I watched the judge's eyes move from page to page. I didn't dare look at my parents. I didn't want to give them even a sliver of space in that moment. Finally, the judge looked up. "The court finds no evidence of negligence or instability. In fact, the evidence overwhelmingly supports that the mother acted in the best interest of the child." I exhaled for the first time in what felt like months. My parents didn't say a word. They just stood up and left, their footsteps echoing down the hall like a closing door. I don't know what they expected. That I'd fall apart? Come crawling back, begging for help again? They didn't understand. I had already broken once, but I rebuilt myself. Stronger, wiser. For Emily. For me asterisk. Back at home that evening, I made Emily her favorite dinner, mac and cheese with cut-up hot dogs and a chocolate cupcake for dessert. She twirled around the kitchen, wearing her princess crown from the dollar store, humming a made-up psalm. The living room was still half empty. The couch sagged in the middle. Our curtains didn't match, but it felt like home. After she went to bed, I sat by the window with a cup of tea, watching the quiet street. And that's when the message came. From my mother. Just one line, you made your choice. Don't come back, asterisk. I stared at the screen for a moment, then deleted the message. Had made my choice. I chose peace over tradition. I chose truth over appearances. I chose to break the cycle, even if it meant walking away from the people who raised me. I won't pretend it doesn't hurt. There are nights when I wish things had been different, that I had grown up with parents who protected me instead of tearing me down, that they had chosen to love Emily the way she deserved. But I've learned something important. Blood makes you related, but love respect, kindness, truth, makes you family. Emily and I, we're a family. And now, we're finally free. If you're still watching, thank you. I hope you never have to face the kind of betrayal I did, but if you do, I hope you remember this. You are not crazy, you are not weak, and you are not alone. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away and never look back.